Hey, Dunbar,
How are you?
I'm about to go crazy.
I'm so sorry I didn't get to call you. I ended up hanging up on people. Like I still never even talked to them yet. It's crazy.
Huh?
I said I ended up hanging up on the people. It's crazy. Like they still never. I was on hold for 3 hours and 17 minutes. They never came to the phone.
3 hours.
3 hours, yeah. The school the transportation people, the transportation company for the school that my son goes to, they didn't pick him up for school. So I ended up having
Oh,
to come back.
wow.
I ended up having to take him to school. So I
We
haven't,
did that.
which is only like 10 minutes from the house, but he
Oh,
kept.
now we like so we live like it's multi county, and the high school is like probably about 30 minutes or well, probably about 20 minutes, about 20 minutes away.
Uh-huh.
Ain't no way nobody can walk if they miss the bus. But when we first moved over here in our subdivision, it was like 10 houses. My daughter was the only high school, and my son was the only middle schooler, and they left him every day. And just like you, my husband, when he went to the transportation place and was like, when I leave home, my daughter outside the road, I expect y'all to pick her up. She a girl. You know what I'm saying? Like, if for her to call and say, y'all never came.
And for
And
me,
so,
it's a boy. He is not, that definitely not the same for me having a son. But it's just like for me, I'm just like, yo, what's going on? So the school was like, oh, we give you the phone number because they deal with it, not us. Like we're a separate entity. And I'm like, okay. And I called them earlier and they kept saying, you know how they let you know how long you're gonna be waiting. Oh, it's gonna be a little bit more than an hour or more than 60 minutes or whatever. So I kept calling back and calling back. I called back whenever it was that I was texting you before I hung up because it was time to do this. 3 hours and 17 minutes I had been on hold.
oh yeah, you need to go to the board.
Yeah. So I'm like, nah, ain't no way in the world. Much dog on taxes I pay. I'm sitting up here, sitting on phone for 3 hours on the school bus picking up my son. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right. So real quickly before I
Hey, wait.
yeah.
So my email. So I did all that. I had did all that.
Mm.
So what I'm doing is where I don't know what's up with this computer. I ain't never seen these screens that coming up tonight. So I'm trying to put the alias in the free Gmail, and
Uh-huh.
it's showing the password, but when I hit add account, it opens the email back up again.
You gotta see what that is.
That's
Yeah.
the free account though. So I set up the alias in the Google Workspace, but he doesn't want them to have. So the free account is where all the dispatch stuff been going. Now I can easily forward it. Can I easily forward the free dispatch to the workspace?
Yeah, you can. Yeah, you can do that.
But how would the alias have it? They don't have a login over there.
They should though. Like they
How,
should have their own login with the alias if it's a paid account.
it's a paid account. When I added the alias, in like the user. It didn't ask me to set up an account. We can talk about it later. It's just that on the free, it keeps opening up another window of the free account. Like I hit add, I'm in the settings and I hit add account. I'll put in the SMTP thing. Then I put in
Yeah. Uh-huh.
the free account with the password, add account, and all that.
Yeah, I have to look at it. I'm visual. So if I'm looking at it,
Okay.
yeah, if I'm looking at it, I'll have a better idea on how to do it. Yeah, so we can look at and we can look at it after this if you want.
Okay, that'd be great. Cause yeah, I've been watching videos all weekend on that. That's what Lewis stood to the door just a minute ago and said, I'm really impressed that you learning your craft. Learning no craft. Set this up so that boy's not worried.
I know that's right. I got John here too. I was going have us answer some questions on what me and you talked about that person, because incidentally I got another call about a similar situation, not the same as that person, but where a person had a client who had gotten some kind of citation or violation, and I guess the law firm wasn't going to fight it for free. And I was like, well, y'all gonna have to reach out to the law firm and find out why they're not fighting it for free. It's obviously the reason that they're not dealing with it's the 25% discount. So you're gonna have to find out why, so that you can let your client know. I asked your client to ask them, but I don't know the scenario, so I can't tell you why. That's what it is. So
mine was driving a CMV without a CDL. That's because his med card wasn't active on. It wasn't verified at the DMV. But anyway, they said it fell up under the 25% discount.
Got you. John, what's up, man? Oh, we can go ahead and get these people let in.
Hey, Robert, how are you?
About 48 people, and we got some on. We have some on YouTube here.
Hey. But like I said, Dunbar, and I found this a lot of times people, they feel like after that 11th day that, violations are covered. All violations aren't covered 100% under that plan. I knew that before the other week when that guy had that.
Yeah.
It had been a long time since I heard that, that somebody, that it fell under the 25%.
Right. It's definitely a lot, most of what happens, of course, we know this, most of what happened is covered at 25% discount, but there are going to be some incidences that it's not. And sometimes we don't cover them when we're talking about the membership, because we're not thinking about that wild and crazy thing. That's why it's always about saying, if it's not here covered at no additional cost, right? If we don't showing it as something that's covered at no additional cost, then we can assume that it's going to be a 25% discount. We know that for the most part, a seatbelt will be. We know that if they're
those are on the thing, but it's some that are not. I mean, do they know how many? I mean, it's so many violations. I mean, but the one that I was telling you about is a common one, because when they said it, I was like, oh, I didn't say it out loud to him, but oh.
So obviously you guys have joined and we're already talking like y'all here. We just kind of talking about what we're talking about, which is what we're going to talk about with you all anyway. But we be in a green room before we open it up, so we already be having a conversation. So that's pretty much where that's at. So welcome everybody. So I just noticed today when we were getting this call set up, guys, we are on episode 100. So that's exciting. And actually it's been more than 100 episodes, because we don't ever count the annual trainings as an episode. We call it the annual training. So we're actually a little bit over 100, but no, it's exciting, guys, to know that we've done 100 Zooms and over 200 free conference call when we was doing it just audio, because we've been doing this for 4 years. So and some of you guys have been here from the beginning. So thank you guys all for the support. Some of you guys have literally been with us for 4 years on a weekly Monday call, and we have not missed a Monday. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a holiday, it doesn't matter whether it's convention time, we always have it, even if it's only a few people, because we still record it. You guys can go back and listen to it. So thank you guys all for the support. We're going to be talking about two things today. The trainers are going to be talking about, one, that we don't cover everything at no cost, because that's something that's been coming up, so that you guys know, because you have to know your product and your service, and that every time a trucker gets into a jam, we're not going to fight it at no additional cost. We're going to talk about a few different things so that you all know when you're talking to these truck drivers and trucking companies and decision makers, to kind of make them aware of that, so that it's not a complete surprise or sticker shock when it happens. And also something else that we're going to be talking about is, again, identifying your prospect, because as I do a little bit more field training here and there, I realize so often that people don't know who they're prospecting. And they're thinking that, oh, they got a CDL, and that's too wide of a net. Like you have to have a certain, and we talk about it here all the time, and you don't have to obviously follow the guidelines that we talk about, meaning you don't have to go after small trucking companies with 2 or 3 drivers like Sharanda talks about all the time. You don't have to. It's just a suggestion, right? But I would take a suggestion from somebody who's got 2 LOJ awards and who keeps being one of the top small business sellers and who keeps, right, who got their 50K ring in this space. And I mean, you know, I would take some advice from that person, but you don't have to. If you don't, you certainly have to have a prospect. And your prospect cannot be, right? I remember I had a person on my team that was in Mary Kay, and we were talking one day, and I was like, we were talking about her cross selling because she was in Mary Kay and she had started with Legal Shield, and we were making a list. And I said, well, who is your prospect in Mary Kay? Like, who do you prospect when it comes to selling Mary Kay? And she said, everybody. I said, everybody can't be your prospect. Even if everybody would buy your product, it is very expensive and time consuming to market to everybody. So when you're marketing, you have to literally come up with an income that you're looking for, a family size that you're looking for. And I know that sounds really commercial, but you guys are business owners and that's what you have to do. You have to know who your prospect is. If you're saying I'm looking for trucking companies with less than 10 drivers, I'm only looking for owner operators, I'm looking for intrastate, I'm looking for interstate, I'm looking for box trucks, I'm looking for moving companies. It doesn't matter what you're looking for, but you need to be able to identify your prospect. And if I say to you or Sharanda or John or anybody in this space that's training, field training says, who are you looking to sell this to? And your answer is whoever has a CDL, man, you're gonna have a hard time marketing this thing if you can't identify who you're actually going after. Because you can't market to somebody if you don't identify who they are. Does that make sense? Because you can't fulfill the need of the person if you don't have an identity on the person. Just because the person has a CDL license, that license doesn't mean that they need our plan. They may not be currently driving. They might be driving the school bus and never get pulled over. They might be driving a tractor. I mean, how many people get pulled over in a tractor? So if you don't understand who your prospect is, you can't do the research necessary to find out whether or not this membership is going to be beneficial. How do you know the pain points if you don't know the prospect? These are all things that are really important when it comes to marketing, because again, how do you create a marketing plan when you don't have an audience? And the audience cannot be CDL licensed because that is too vast, and that will allow that will have you talking to anybody about everything, and you won't come up with an idea of what to say that can really sell what you're doing, market what you're doing, because you keep having to change your presentation because you would have to change it over and over again just because they have a CDL. Because when you're talking to a tow truck driver, that's going to be different than talking to an owner operator with 3 vehicles. That's a different conversation, in my opinion, right? So if that's the case, now you're changing your language all the time, which means you don't consistently have a pitch that you're using because you don't have a particular clientele that you're going over. So we're going to be talking about those things here today on the call. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to my good friend, Miss Sharanda Ivy, so she can start with her introduction and then we'll go from there. Sharanda, the floor is yours.
Awesome. Good stuff. My name is Sharanda Ivy out of Byron, Georgia. Been with Legal Shield for since 2013. We're going on our 10th year, I think. But we've been here since 2013 with 50K ring earners, Emery Elites. I earned the 2019-2021 Field Trainer of the Year, have 2 Ladies of Justice Awards, recognized as #2 group opener for last year, small business plans. But I say all that because those accolades come from this space before I got focused on, what I wanted to focus on in the business versus being a full service associate. Those accolades weren't here, but I earned all those through this space. And so it's possible. It's a great space where you can always continue to sell if you're not, able to cross sell, in one setting. You always have a client that you can go back and service to. So just remember that. And I host the accountability call as well on Thursday nights for those individuals who are looking for some accountability while out there prospecting and making those calls. So we have a great little mastermind there. Those individuals, you see a lot of them being recognized, within Legal Shield and on the expo. So shout out to them as well. So with that, I'll pass it over to you, John.
All right, thank you, Sharonda. Good evening, everybody. This is my 15th year. This month is my 15th year in Legal Shield. But to let you know, my first half of that 15 years was part-time. I started this business part-time while I was working my tire business because I had a truck tire business, and that's when Legal Shield found me, and the trucking and the Cdlp plan found me too, and because I had a genuine connection between the two, because I saw what was happening to my customers when they couldn't pay their tire bill, and I needed to find something that would that I could feel good about selling to them. So the Cdlp plan is where I landed in it, and I worked specifically with transportation companies. But like Robert talked about earlier, I mean, everybody is a prospect, but you have to sort them between what is prime and what is secondary and what is maybe remote. But working this business is great, and my retention is over 90% all the time. So when they talk about the Cdlp plan not being a high retentive membership, I think otherwise. I get a lot of retention with it without any problems at all. So I enjoyed teaching other associates my skill in prospecting, and look forward to talking to as many as possible and sharing those things that we talked about in our annual training a couple of weeks ago. All right, Robert, go ahead.
Dunbar.
I'm here. I was putting something in the chat. So real quickly, for those who were here last week, even if you weren't here last week, but if you were here last week, we talked about email templates, creating an email template so that you will be able to use it over and over again. I just dropped the link in the chat for the step-by-step guide to do it. So if you missed it, or if I was talking too fast, like I know I do, and you did not go back and listen to the recording, which you always have an option to do. Now you have a step-by-step PDF guide that you can use if you're that kind of visual person that needs to kind of see it laid out. So I just put that link in the chat. We'll drop it again somewhere at some point later on in the end. So Robert Dunbar, been with Legal Shield 13 years, 100K ring earner, 250K ring earners on my team, work different areas of the business, really enjoy doing the Cdlp for several different regions. One is a niche, it's a niche market. So it allows me to do exactly what I was talking about a minute ago, which is really study who I'm going after so I can do a better presentation. And it's also good here in this space because it's not as much competition outside of Legal Shield and within Legal Shield, right? Both sides. Because I know for some of you all that's done group, or you may currently do group, you know that sometimes you can walk into a company and they're like, we already heard of it, already have it. All right, get out of here, throw something at you, whatever might happen in your specific area, right? So you know with CDL, it's not as often that they will know, or sometimes they will actually know about Legal Shield, but not know that there is a commercial drivers division within Legal Shield. So it's helpful on that end as well. So let's go back to something you said, Sharonda, real quickly, because I'm starting to get more into the just the hard out activity, like the fact that there's a blitz on Tuesdays and all of those kind of things. And, you get those text messages and those emails and those, oh, can we do more role playing? Can we would like to know more about a script or what you guys are saying. Guys, that's what Sharonda's doing on Thursday. So if you are saying, I'm in the field calling, I'm in the field talking to people, I don't have an accountability partner, I'm making calls, but my upline, sideline, downline don't do CDL, so I'm doing this all by myself. You're doing it all by yourself by choice. Because every Thursday night, Sharonda Ivy has a call where y'all getting hot and heavy that way. You see what I mean? This is like generally training on things you should do. But when you're talking about, hey, I'm making calls, I heard this, what should I say next? We cover that sometimes here, but on that Thursday night accountability call, that's exactly what they're doing. So I would tell you to get plugged into that by going to the Facebook page and make sure that if you're at that level. Some people are still at the listening level. I'm still learning the game. And some people are like, hey, look, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to roll out, make some calls. I'm setting goals to make calls. If that's who you are, then you need to be jumping on that accountability call because that's where they're doing that at. So let's dive first into that, the prospect question. So again, we talked about who are you prospecting. So we'll talk to Sharanda and John and like who are they going after, because they're making sales, they're closing deals, they're helping people close deals by doing field training. So obviously they know who to go after, correct? So, and we've heard it before, but let's hear it again. But let's listen to it with a different ear this time. And if you have a particular prospect, if you're saying, I know exactly who I'm going after, right? And we certainly want 100% honesty here, put a 1 in the chat. If when you're making your phone calls, you're dialing on companies that are a specific size, a specific industry of transportation, put a 1 in the chat, simply because we want to make sure that you are at that place. Are you at that place? Right? Just check. We just checking that temperature. Right? Are you just randomly picking up the phone and calling and saying, I'm just going to call, right? I'm just calling anything with a DOT number, or are you calling particular companies?
Well, some people
You have a direct prospect, right? Whoever you're going after, if you know who you're going after, then that means you know who you're not going after. Does that make sense? Process of elimination sometimes when you prospect. So I'll start with ladies first, of course, then Sharanda can turn it over to John. So Sharanda, when you're going out to prospect, if you can, one, tell us who you're going after and why you made a decision to go after that particular prospect in this space, as opposed to all the options of it.
It's funny. I looked at my list today, so tomorrow I'll be calling 10-man groups. So I'll graduate tomorrow, call some 10-man groups. But I personally like to stay definitely under 10. And that's because when I first got started, I mean, I just didn't know, right? Like my biggest group has over 300 drivers, and I walked in that group, and I just really didn't know what to say, what to do. I found a company, that they had their whole team. I think Lamar talks about that. The whole team was on their website. So I knew who to ask for. And I remember going in doing that form, what we used to do, like your family, your occupation type thing. The guy, I think he went to Auburn University. We talked about that. He had his family up as well. But I had just took a class. Chris had just came to Georgia. That was my second class in the business. And that was about, I don't know, 5-6 years ago. And because we didn't have a lot of trainers back then, we still don't. But he had to go up the ladder. Like it wasn't his decision, and he was the safety director. He couldn't make that decision. He had to take it, to higher management. And so even though I got the appointment, sat down with him, it went really well, and I followed up. And by the time I followed up, there was a new safety manager in there, safety director. And I think they actually went through 3 before I actually got the okay for the group. And so then I just started to, what really opened my eyes was, when I, just was really focused. I built my business off referrals anyway. And so I had a gentleman that had my legal plan, but he was a commercial driver. He chose to get the legal plan, but I knew he was a driver, but he wanted the family legal. Well, after I took that class, I went back to that guy because I knew a little bit more. And so I had a little bit more conversation with him about violations. And he actually referred me to another owner operator. And that owner operator referred me to about 8 other owner operators, and I went ED that month. And that opened my eyes to the fact that I was talking to the owners. All those guys were the owner of their trucks. One guy, I think he had like 5 or 6 trucks, but I was talking to the owner. I wasn't talking to nobody else. And what I learned too out of that was it was like a close knit. Like they really like, I mean, like this one guy said, you know what? Oh my God, you know, because he talked to the law firm. That was the first belief, right? He got to actually talk to an attorney. It wasn't really about violations. He felt like he was being, racial profile as a driver. And it had been going on over a year, but it wasn't just him. It was several truckers, and they talked about it. And but he said, oh my God, you know, I'm gonna refer you to some people that need this. And one of the guys in that circle, he had diabetes, and he had got sick at the wheel. And it was an accident, but luckily the officer was coming the opposite direction. And the accident was like almost at a stop sign. But that man, he got accused for that because he was the trucker, you know, but he didn't get a ticket, but they wrote him up for something else. But anyway, his insurance went up, it doubled because of the write-up. And so it was from that incident, those incidents, that I started to say that, you know, I want to talk to the owner. I want to talk to the person who writes the checks, who understands the problems in the business. And so my ideal client is always small. Now, I might call a group, I'm sure, and you guys might do that too, that maybe have 20, 25 drivers, and you talk to the owner. You can do that. That's true, but it's not always that. The bigger the company gets, they're going to start putting people in positions, you know? And so therefore you might not always get the owner. And what I've found is that it's a shorter sale. And plus I'm talking to the individual who feels the problems within the company, and he'll make a better decision versus somebody who show up for a job and makes a decision and he doesn't care. So that's been my deal with why I stay small. And plus, those guys will teach you in conversation. You know, somebody asked me the other day, Sharina, how you know so much? How you learned all that? It was the conversations I had, the conversations I still have, that teaches me a lot of the things that I know. So that's why I try to encourage associates, you know, try to talk to the small companies, because together you guys will educate each other. So that's it, Dunbar.
Okay, so and this is good for several different reasons. And you know, I'm a process person. And if you've got experience in doing big groups and all that, because you have a background in insurance or benefits enrollment or whatever, of course, obviously, we're not talking to you. You understand the dynamics of doing that. And one of the things that business owners miss a lot of times is they think because they specialize in a specific thing that they understand how to do business. And that is not necessarily, as a matter of fact, most of the time, it's not true. Me being a doctor does not mean I know how to run a doctor's office. Does that make sense? Right? Me being a recruiter, right? I could say, I know how to recruit. I was a recruiter in the military. That don't mean you know how to recruit Legal Shield. Because you were right. That don't mean you know how to run a business when you're recruiting as a business. That's different. Because when you recruit in the military, you recruit that person to the military, and then you pass them on to the military to do their business. You're not working with that person for the rest of your life. Huh?
You don't recruit them, they sign up.
Yeah, there you go. Right. So it's different. And sometimes we specialize in something and we think that just overflows into the business world. So there's always a process to what we do. So when you're spending time, if you ever heard the analogy, like, a Walmart is the superstore, but there's really no relationship there. Like, you don't know anybody there. You don't have you can't walk in a Walmart and get something done from somebody behind the counter because you built a relationship, because it's too big. But you can at your corner store. So if you guys remember, I don't know where y'all came from, but anybody that came from low means, when you was growing up, your parents may have been low on money and went to the corner store and had them give us some groceries until they got paid, right? So if you can't follow that analogy, I understand you may have been doing better in life, and that's okay. You don't have to miss that one. But for those that know what I'm talking about, it was a relationship with the corner store. You couldn't go to the grocery store and do that because they weren't gonna give you credit. It's the same thing when you walk into a smaller company. When you walk into a smaller company, it's easier to build a relationship. You can help that company better because it's smaller. They're willing to talk to you because they need some help, and they're having big company problems, but they got a small company budget. And here it is, you walking in the door, making them feel like, hey, I can help you, right, solve some of these problems that these bigger companies are having without it costing you what it's costing them, because I haven't went there yet. I'm looking for the smaller companies that I can help. I'm a small business trying to help a small business. So you create that relationship, and that's missing sometimes in those big companies. So that is a really big reason to go after smaller companies, and it's less intimidating. You go into a company that's got 3 drivers, it's not as intimidating as a company that's got a whole bunch of drivers. So, look at that when it comes to prospect. Anything else on that, Sharanda, before I turn it over to John?
I was going to do the small business thing, but I was going to answer to Benita. She said the smaller companies need you more than the bigger companies. Yeah, that's true, but the bigger companies need us too, because they have people in positions that don't really know what's going on. So their numbers are bad too. So they need us. It's just that they got a gatekeeper there that won't allow you to get in because of whatever reason. So they all need us. So just FYI. But I was going to comment on what you just said about the small business. Honestly, I had a prospect who became a client. It was the last call of the day, the other week, I think last Thursday, and that's how I introduced myself. Because I was calling local, and I introduced myself as local small business owner, and she replied to me that she doesn't normally really talk to solicitors or people that's just calling out of the blue. She said, but you got me when you said you were a small business owner too. And so we have to present ourselves that way, because it's some people out there wants to do business with other small business owners. And so, that's what she said. That's why she gave me her ear and she became a client or whatever. But present yourself as such, because truly these small business, and that was a small company. They have 2 drivers, 2 trucks, 2 drivers, and that's what she said when you said that.
Good stuff. And Kurt Spencer, let me go ahead and get your question real quick.
Thank you. So Sharanda, when you say you follow up with the decision maker, is it to share a different part of the plan, or is it to follow up based on maybe something that was talked about that was brought up in the previous conversation?
What are you talking about? What I said that today.
You said when you follow up with the decision maker, is it sharing a different part of the Cdlp plan, or is it following up based on something that was talked about or discussed earlier where they show some interest?
You're talking about the big company. I said I was following up with them.
Yes.
Well, he had to have that meeting with upper level. So the follow up was because I wasn't a part of that meeting. It was he was going to take the information to the meeting. So I was following up to see what the outcome of that meeting would be. Because in those bigger companies, like, I've sat to the table with CFOs and CEOs or whatever. But like a lot of times, you have to present to them, like he was the director. I wasn't invited to that next meeting. You know what I'm saying? He wanted to take the information. So my follow-up was to him on, what was the response from upper management.
That's good.
Okay,
That's
thank
good.
you.
And we're gonna talk a little bit more about follow-up too, because I got something too I want to talk about with that. Because I like that question because it's funny. I was just doing a little program on follow-up, and I'm gonna talk about something about that. But I'm gonna get John in here first because John, I know John's got some input on his prospecting and what he's doing with that big old list he got sitting on his desk probably. John, go ahead. Floor is yours, brother.
All right. Well, when you talk about prospecting, you have to almost like it. If you ever ran a business, when you have inventory parts, you have A parts and B parts and C parts. A parts are most popular. Those are your top prospects, and B parts are intermediate prospects. Some you wouldn't normally go after, but you wouldn't ignore them. And your C parts are the ones that stay on the shelf forever, and you never sell them, but they collect a lot of dust. And those are the prospects that you might get as a referral. So know what your strengths are. And some you might have a comfort in talking to moving companies or towing companies or HVAC companies or dump trucks or long distance haul companies. But historically, our best prospects in Legal Shield are the trucking companies that go in out of state transactions where they drive across different state lines, because those are the ones that are most vulnerable. But of course, you want to get to the no as soon as possible, because some of these guys are just too nice to say no, we're not interested. But you want to move on. You just want to, because so many people to help. There really is, from the list that I have, is thousands of people, and I can't possibly call on them all. But you still want to get to the no as soon as possible. But also, if you're out there driving around, I know Sharanda works from her house, but if she gets out there once in a while, don't be in a hurry to get somewhere. Drive slow, because I've opened a lot of groups in Sharanda's area where it's maybe one or two or three drivers, just by seeing the driver outside by his truck in the parking lot. And I'll stop by and I'll say, here's my card. If you heard of Legal Shield, and then he'll ask a question, and the question will lead to more of a conversation. And then pretty soon, before you know it, you got a group with a Cdlp plan and a family plan attached to it. And it's a small group, but they all count. So don't be in such a hurry. And then if you're driving through parking lots or truck stops, go slow through that. Roll your window down in case somebody whistles, or especially if you have a sign on your car, like a Legal Shield sign on your car. Just drive by really, really slowly and see if anybody calls you over. But always have some of those business cards, and I like to use those Tint Cdlp business cards that are available in the back office to give to drivers. And I just simply say, if I can ever help you, give me a call. And they'll look at it. I'll let them look at it. And then if they bring a question up, then the conversation goes further. They just put in the wallet, and then say, well, I know they'll give me a call later. And that just happened a couple of weeks ago, where I had a referral from someone who I'd never met before in Ohio that called and got one of the $169 business plans plus the trial defense supplement and 2 Cdlp plans just over the phone. So that was a good day, in Legal Shield world to have that thing happen. But that's the value of passing out the business cards liberally, and just saying, if I can ever help you, let me know. You got to keep a level head too. You can't get too excited. That happened to me the other day when I went to a trucking company with a guy I was field training with, and we met the HR person there, and she said, I've been looking for voluntary benefits to offer the drivers. As a matter of fact, I want to make this a fringe benefit. So you get a little excited, and then went to call back on her the next day and the next week, and couldn't get a hold of her, and finally made another visit and found out she's not there no more. So a lot of times I think you have something in the bag and you kind of let your guard down a little bit, and you say, okay, this is great. I'm going to, take a break. Don't reward yourself until after the ink is on the paper. But after the ink is on the paper, go ahead and reward yourself. That is kind of like mental tuning yourself for success. Whenever you get a success, go ahead and give yourself a reward, whether it's a day off or maybe a dinner out with the wife or something like that. But wait till the ink is on the paper before you do that. Just don't quit until you get that. It's kind of like a little bit of a self-motivation for those of us that are self-motivated. That's what I do. And know who to talk to ahead of time. You don't go in blindly. If you can find out who to talk to ahead of time, sometimes when you'll meet a driver in the parking lot, ask him, who do I talk to at your company? Who's the one I want to talk to? You can't find it out otherwise. And so those are my prospecting tips, is at least to get in the front door and get some success and sometimes some instant success, especially just driving around slowly, and you'd be surprised what you stumble across.
Oh no, absolutely. No, that's good stuff. And a lot of what you said, I guess, like kind of a reality check, is just that day to day going out and talking to companies, the kind of things that you'll run into. I'll tell you, I always had a much better time in the field when I was working with somebody, right? Even if it wasn't me field training or me being field trained, having somebody else that's willing to go out, that's hungry enough to go out too if you're going out, right? And even I mentioned this before, having like a call party. And the call party doesn't mean a bunch of people. It could just be one or two. So let's just say me and John. And I say, John, we're gonna make calls from 10 o'clock to 12 o'clock. He says, yeah, I'm good. John's at home, I'm at home. We both cut our tablets on Zoom and cut our Zoom on, and we've got the camera on, but we're not Zooming with each other. We're making calls, but I can see him making calls and he can see me making calls. That's me having a workout partner that's making calls for 2 hours, and he's getting no's and yeses and appointments, and I'm getting no's and yeses and appointments, and we kind of can laugh and giggle in between calls, even though you haven't left the house. You can do that right through Zoom and have an accountability partner that you do that with, and that makes your calls easier because you don't feel alone. Some of you guys got other people in the house with you, whatever, but when you're by yourself and you're making sales calls every day, man, sometimes it get lonely. It just does. You have bad stuff happen. People say stuff to you, and it's like you don't have nobody to bounce nothing off, nobody to share that frustration with. It's a little funny if somebody says something slick and your Zoom is up and it's like, yo, John, like this guy just like told me like to get lost. Like, and John is like laughing and y'all laughing it off and y'all keep on making calls. That's a world of difference. That'll keep you from 11 to 12 still making calls versus shutting down at 11 o'clock because your feelings are hurt and you don't have nobody to share that with. So you want to keep that in mind, like little things like that, little tweaks like that will help you progress when it comes to moving forward. And the follow-up, right? Kurt Spencer brought up something about follow-up, and I think this is really important too. Follow up sometimes, guys, with more information. Don't give it all up. Sometimes, because you know it's going to take more than one exposure. So when you call, don't just call back to say the same thing again, right? How many times have you, right? And put a 2 in the chat. How many times have you just been like a zombie calling people to follow up and get somebody, and you don't even have nothing to say when you follow up? Because you just dialing at this point, and they answer the phone. It's like, hey, and you get them on the phone. And it's like, oh crap, I don't even know what I'm gonna say to this guy. I already gave him the whole spiel. So what are you gonna say when you call back in the first place? You got nothing to say because it's not planned out. Sometimes it's good to like look back, right? And you can really do this in CDL. You can't do it as much in a regular group, but in CDL, and Sharanda did this in the beginning, and she wasn't even doing this to get this result in the beginning. She was just doing her due diligence, and it happened for that way. Go back and look at their safety score before you go. If you know you're calling these 10 companies today that you called 2 weeks ago, before you call them again, look at their safety score again. So you've got something else to say, another pain point to be able to say, hey, I'm just giving you another follow-up call because I see you got 2 more infractions or violations or whatever you're going to call them. I'm just calling because I don't want it to get too bad. Last time I called you, I was talking about the 6 that you had. Now you got 9. I'm not calling to beat you up, I'm calling to help. It gives you some more ammunition because you looked at the prospect again. And we get in the habit of calling this a ritual sometimes. And it's like, I'm gonna get up and call again. I'm gonna get up and call again. And you listening to these salespeople that say, call them until they dead or until you dead, but you ain't got nothing to say.
Or that question they say, well, when you think I should call them back? And I'll tell them, stop harassing them people. Because they'll call them back. They'll call them back to back.
And we know what that comes from, Sharanda. That comes from not having enough prospects. So, and if that hurts your feelings, then prospect some more people, because that's what that means. When you're calling people so much, it's because you don't have a big enough right, database of people that you're reaching out to. And that's okay in the beginning because your database is only going to be so big. But that should be a sign if you're starting to harass people that, right, you shouldn't be calling the same people every 7 days.
Every other day, every day.
Yeah, you like, I'm calling these people again because they didn't answer.
Yeah, I'm gonna call them tomorrow. I call them back. I'm calling back in 10 minutes.
And I used to beat that phone up. So I already know, I know the thinking, right? So put a 3 in the chat if you're saying, well, they don't know I called them yesterday anyway because they didn't answer the phone. Oh, they know you called. They didn't answer the phone because they knew it was you. So when you call them back again, they know it's you calling again. So don't think when you call and the phone rung out and they didn't answer, when you call back again the next day, you're like, well, I can call them again tomorrow. Because you're trying to build your list for tomorrow. And you know you're comfortable calling somebody that you know not going to answer because you can say you made calls, but you ain't have to talk to nobody. So when you call back and you're like, well, I'm going to call them again because they ain't answer the phone. Well, guess what? They know you called. Not every time, but a lot of times they know you called, especially if it's a small company. They know you called. They're not taking your call because you have not shown them the value in what you're offering them. They have not seen the value enough for them to release their checkbook to you. You haven't shown them enough value. So you need to go look at their company again and call back and say, all right, hey, I'm just giving you a call because I saw you got a couple of more violations. I'm just keeping an eye because I want to make sure you don't end up getting an audit because you're getting too many violations or whatever you're going to say. You're going to call with some more information, right? And be funny sometimes. Like, don't call and dry and boring, and you just calling it. Oh, you know, this is Barbara call. I'm just calling again. You know, and you can tell I'm calling you again because you ain't answered my last 7 calls. That's basically what your voice says. That's your tonality. I'm calling you again because you haven't answered my phone call. And it's like, instead of calling and being excited, being energetic, and being like, hey, I'm giving you a call back again. Like, I know the guy Sabri that I follow. He says he'll call people and say, hey, look, Miss Sharan, I'm giving you a call. I'm building a really great relationship with your voicemail, right? Because I hear it so much. I'm just giving you a call again because I hadn't heard from you. I know you said you're going to get back with me. I looked at your safety score again. I saw a couple of different things happening. I wanted to discuss these new items I saw with you. And eventually, Sharan is like, she gonna hear that voicemail and be like, oh, this guy is like an animal. Like, he is not stopping. And I do got a couple of more violations. Maybe I need to take this person's call. So sometimes your tonality, your energy, all of that plays into whether somebody gets back with you or not. You have to question when you're making calls all day long and you cut and you start to see over time, 1 year, 2 years, that other people are closing groups that you call. That should be a sign for you. Go ahead, Sharan.
But one thing that I learned, because, you know, I understand you can get in that habit of you want to just keep calling. And like you say, you call because you know 9 times out of 10 they're gonna pick up. So you just say you called them, you know. You know, I normally ask, you know, when is it a good time that I can call you back? You know, like a guy told me today, he was, you know, he was moving. I don't know what's the company of him, but he was like, I saw it. He said, but can you send the email again? So, you know, it'd be at the top of my email. And I said, great. I said, well, when can I follow up with you for us to discuss the email? And he said, oh, just give me a call back tomorrow. I'll look at it. And sure enough, you know, in HubSpot, it told me he opened it, you know? So, I understand, you know, but we have to realize that we have technology now and, you know, call waiting and stuff like that. Caller ID, you know, so they could be sitting there looking at you and they're like, George keep calling again. And so, but George used to do that. He said, I'm calling back in 10 minutes. But he said he don't do that no more, right, George?
Yeah, I'll wait 20.
You was talking about Dunbar with the Zoom. Me and Donna still do that. We still get on. Oh yeah, we still get on Zoom. We normally have 2 call blocks a day. If not 2, 1. But we definitely get on Zoom. Normally it's about 2 hours, and we make dials. And we've been doing that. We started doing that before they started the Blitz.
Wow. And guys, y'all don't have to do that, but you know, just a suggestion from 2 ringers. You know, two ringers, and they making calls together on Zoom just so you guys can follow that. So in your experience, John, real quickly, because I know you're dealing with some of these drivers as well. What are you saying to these companies to let them know? Because it's all in your presentation, like that we don't cover everything. Because what we don't want y'all to do is get discouraged because you have a really bad situation. Because you don't want a driver to call you like really irate because you told them, because we have a tendency in Legal Shield to say this on every part of our membership. Oh no, we cover everything. We cover everything at no cost. It just slips out. And every now and then that come back and bite you because something happens to somebody and you know, the first thing they're gonna say is, I thought you said it covers everything. And see, now you're fine. So John, what are you saying to your companies when it comes to that? Because we don't cover everything at no cost.
Well, I tell them we cover everything that affects their license and their MVR, but some of the things are not free, and those are usually the silly tickets they get. If they might get, it might be a seatbelt ticket, you know, something they should do, but it's not a moving violation, so it's not going to be free. Also, but if it's reckless driving, it's not going to be free either because that's something they shouldn't be doing. If it's just driving in the normal course of a day, chances are it's going to be covered with their membership. But so that's basically what I tell them as far as what's covered. And the same with our regular legal plan too. We say we cover all of your legal things, just not everything's free. Some things are not, like divorces and or contested divorces and DUIs are not covered for free, but it's a discounted rate. Still better than the full price. And but Sharon said something very powerful there. When you have a conversation with a owner, company, or truck driver, always get the next step. You know, ask for the next step. That gives you a permission to call them back. So you're asking permission to call back and stay true to that. Because a lot of times you won't do that in the beginning. Your follow-up process needs to be organized, you know, to the point where you have to follow through on your word too, that you are going to call back in 3 days or the next day. I know so many times in the beginning of my Legal Shield life, I wouldn't do that, or they would say, they give you a response, well, I'll call you. And my early days in the Legal Shield, I would say, no, you won't. I'll call you back.
So and along those lines too, because because I don't want, in all of what we're talking about, I don't want anybody to miss that, because that was powerful what Sharanda said. When is a good time to call you back? That serves so many purposes. It serves the purpose that why she brought it up. Then the additional tips that John just said, guess what else it does? It gives you something to say when you call back, right? So if I pick up the phone and I call Jim back and I say, hey, Jim, this is the Robert Dunbar with Oceanside Benefits. I'm giving you a call back. I know you told me the best time to give you a call was 2:00 on Wednesday, right? See, now I've got to open a line, because now, and that brings, if they're aggravated because you're calling them again, guess what it does? It comes right down. They're like, oh, I did tell them to call me back at this time.
Yeah, and then you feel like you're not harassing them, because you know you're just doing what they told you to do. And now you don't feel some type of way, like wondering, am I calling too much? Am I not calling too much? You know what I'm saying? It takes all that away. And so, I learned that somewhere, but I definitely, because in the beginning, I wasn't asking that. And it made the follow-up hard, because you always thought you were harassing people, or maybe they were looking at your number and they not picking up. You just didn't know. But for me, because I make calls, but I still don't like it. You know what I'm saying? So whatever you have to do to trick your mind to make you stay in the activity, you do that. And so asking them that, like you said, when you call back, you say that, oh, Dunbar, you told me to give you a call back at 3:30. I was just returning your call.
There you go.
And I hang up and I just like, well, it wasn't available. And people know that I field train. I always tell them, hey, anything could have happened in trucking. They're busy. So I don't take it personal. I just keep it moving.
That's right. You see the comment. You see David Bazemore. He don't win.
Oh, book of me. Oh, he over there on the net.
Hey, old school still book a meeting from a meeting. Yeah. I'm telling you guys, you gotta, some stuff is just, It's just, and it's been working for all these years. You got to do it. And again, you got to have some fun with it, right? You got to have some fun with it. If you're not having fun with this, it is going to be very difficult for you to make a lot of money. Don't stress yourself out, and don't give people the control of making your day bad because you worry about what they're going to say on the other end. Have some fun with it. That Zoom deal will change the game for you. If you do what Sharanda and Donna are doing, it will change the game for you, and you'll look forward to it because you're doing it with somebody else. You got somebody going through. I mean, just think about if you ever been. Again, I'm going to my. I'm telling where I grew up at, my neighborhood. I'd have been jumped coming home from school, got my sneakers took, beat up. And I mean, I live in the best neighborhood. My parents wasn't doing well in the beginning when they finally moved to a good neighborhood. I was already out the house. It was too late. So when I grew up, it's always better to get, if some guy's about to beat y'all up, it's benefits too. That's what we learned when we was a kid. Look, when I put my back against yours, one thing not gonna happen is I ain't gonna get hit in the back of the head. So what's gonna happen when you get this on this Zoom is you will realize you feel like somebody has your back. Somebody has your back. You got somebody to immediately laugh with when somebody takes a shot at you on the other end because you don't know what kind of day they're having, right? You don't know what kind of day they're having. So it really does help when you got that person right there in that Zoom when you're making those calls. You just don't feel by yourself when that's happening. So Sharanda, what's your idea on what are you saying when it comes to making sure? Because when I got that first call about, hey, my driver is going off, I actually sent it to you.
Well, again, I'm talking from experience, and in the beginning, you don't know, so, and we're so eager to make the sale, but it goes back to one, knowing the plan, but also knowing that you can't know everything that we cover. I mean, it's hundreds of violations. I had a driver probably about a month ago. It was in July, and he had renewed his medical card. Well, the medical doctor sends it to FMCSA, but it's the driver responsibility on renewal to get it to the DMV. Every driver don't know that. So therefore, the medical card looks expired if it's not reported to DMV. So when you run an MVR, that medical card information is on there. But if that medical card is expired, that makes that license suspended too. And so therefore, this driver got pulled over because of that medical card. And so when they pulled him up, he got a violation for driving a CMV without a CDL because it wasn't valid. That fell in the 25% discount. And so, because I called in with him and they told him that fell in the 25% discount. He said, okay, that's fine. I'll take care of that. So we, and I had another driver. That's why I said we have to get out of the mood of trying to say it covers everything, or we're trying to pick on what it covers, right? It helps with violations. Now, I had a driver, he had a rap sheet, meaning he had a stop and it was long. And they went to court for him. They only covered 2 of those violations. They only got 2 of them changed in court out of, over 10. Only 2 were changed. But he thought that was great. He asked his owner, can I get a raise now? They went to court. Can I get a raise? So, but it was a big deal though. But they only took off 2 of all those violations. They only adjudicated 2 of them. So we have to get out of the habit of selling it that, they'll take care of your violations. Even at a 25% discount, when it comes to these violations, that's still good for these drivers. We just have to tell them that it gives them the ability to have that access to help them with the adjudication. So if we can, get out of the habit of trying to name out violations that they cover and what they don't cover, then you won't get caught up with your drivers thinking that they cover everything.
Absolutely. No, that's good stuff. Good stuff. So hopefully that's helpful to people when you go out and do that presentation, that you understand that, kind of take that out of your language, that it's the membership will do everything at no cost. So we'll cover, or we'll take care of your violations and citations, just send it over to the law firm. Because when you say that kind of stuff, they assume that anytime they get pulled, if something happens, whether it's a weigh station, whether it's a regular stop, whether it's during inspection, no matter what they get, they expect it to not be any cost. And sometimes it is a cost. So just protect yourself, your business, your book of business, by making sure that you don't do that. So I put inside of the chat Sharonda's Thursday night. I put the link in there for Sharonda's Thursday night. So if anybody is looking for Sharonda's Thursday night, it's on the Facebook page, but I did put the link there, and I am going to share the screen real quickly just so you guys can see how that looks. Let me see.
Another thing is I saw Mahmood put in there about the 15 over. I think Alan or maybe John, when John was training, they referenced that in some states, certain violations are, a felony. But that's the great thing about our plan, guys, that, we have transportation attorneys, in 49 states. So, especially when, if you're prospecting big and you're talking to a safety manager or whatever, and, they're talking about a certain state, you can say, well, hey, we have, transportation attorneys in 49 states. So, because states are different, the laws are different. So, so you don't have to be the one to know every state. Just say, I had a girl, she says, we're the liaison to the law firm. That's her thing, and so we, that's who we work with. We work with, transportation attorneys. We partner with them, So if you can just assure them of that, then they don't have to guess, right? So.
Absolutely. If you guys see my screen right now, this is how it looks. That way you know you're in the right place. When you click that link that's in the chat, or if you go to the Facebook page and click the link, this is what will pull up. This is the welcome to the accountability call, and then you can go ahead and get on that email list, and Sharanda will make sure that she gets you.
I need to update that, huh? I put that out there how many years ago?
Yeah, it's been there for a long time. It's been there for a long time. That's okay. It's okay. It's serving its purpose. So
you know what it says, man.
So if you guys are interested in that, I'll get on there in YouTube as well. I put it in.
We're not
YouTube
in Alaska.
as well. Huh?
Yeah. Annette asked what state is it not in? Alaska, and you can pull your states at a glance. So we're not, the Cdlp plan is not in Alaska.
So there you go, guys. Not in Alaska. So that is the accountability call. Don't forget the 27th of this month. We have the Cdlp certification training with Lamar Reynolds and Alan Roman. So make sure you get registered for that too, Sharanda.
It's not a link. So if you go to the posts, it's something at the top that says subscribe, and you hit that, and then you have to fill out a MailChimp form, and it goes to my MailChimp. So it's not a link. It's a subscribe button.
So when you guys click the link in the chat, when it opens up, in the upper left-hand corner, it's going to say subscribe. To the far left in the corner, upper left-hand corner is going to say subscribe. Click that subscribe button, and it'll collect your information so that you are on Sharanda's list. Sharanda?
I see Jerry on the screen. Jerry came last Thursday. Maybe she want to share her experience because she had been making calls, and she came and she was sharing with us what she was saying and what was happening. And I think she texted me something later this weekend because she made some dials and had a different response or something she wanted to share.
Yeah, I did. That accountability call, and just the first time that I attended that, just the the suggestions from you, Sharanda, and from some of the other folks that were on that just gave me another perspective of just some, things to say, and it changed the whole scope of things. So I did make the calls. You put out a challenge. I made those calls, and I had two that said, "Hey, can you call me back?" And I spoke with those those drivers. So just a little twist gave me a little different confidence level. So I'm excited. Listen, I made my whole list over the weekend. Okay, and I'm ready for tomorrow. Thank you.
Good stuff. Good stuff. I definitely appreciate that. That's really good. So guys are making calls. If you're on the edge of your seat, you're ready to have somebody to support you with those calls. Jump on that as well. 27 Cdlp certification, and it's for everybody now at this point. But the 3 people who text me about the goal setting, thank you for texting me and not putting it here. I appreciate you doing that. The goal setting mastermind. The Tuesday is closed. There's no more spaces left for that. It's only Saturday. That's why you can't get in at this point. And it's just a goal setting thing, guys. It's not a legal shield thing. It's a goal setting for you as an individual. It's a goal setting mastermind. It is not for the lighthearted. It is not a call that you're going. It's 12 weeks of straight out like accountability goal setting for 90 days. To get you to another level. That's what it is. And it is not a free event, just so everybody knows that. There's only 4 spaces left, and it is a cost to it. So it's not anything that's free. So I just wanted people to know that, because people were asking me about it. And when I was like, it's a cost, it was like, oh, and I was like, yeah, this is not it's not one of those. I did a 3-hour free goal setting 2 weeks ago. And that's, and if you don't want to pay, that's totally fine, because it's not about that. All I'm saying is that event was free. This mastermind, it's a different thing. It's going to really be getting people, making sure that people are getting to a different place. So if you try to get into the Tuesday and you message me, it's because it's closed out. There's only 10 people in each mastermind group, and that one is locked out at this point. So it's only Saturday spots, which is a Saturday morning. So if that's what you're looking to do, just message me and let me know, and I'll send you the link to that one. John, Sharanda, anything else you guys got going on? Good.
It's the Blitz tomorrow, so that energy.
That energy for that Blitz. Yeah, get ready. And I'm encourage you guys again on that. You're doing the Blitz on Tuesday. For those that aren't doing anything more than just Tuesday, I would implore you to get on Sharanda's accountability call, find an accountability partner, and schedule to be at least another day a week doing 2 hours with somebody else that you find on that group. Because if you're only doing 1 day a week and you do that, now you've doubled your costs. You guys follow that? If you get an accountability partner, do 2 hours on another day other than just Tuesday, you're now doubling your cost for the week, which is a big deal to double your cost. Do another 2 hours, and you will see the difference, right? Give it 30 days, 45 days, 60 days. You'll see the difference. I mean, Jerry just said she saw the difference in a week, right? For a week. Makes a lot of sense. Brett, I'll email you, Brett. I'll email you. So that's where it's at, guys. That is where it's at. So appreciate you guys all for being on. I know, y'all know we over as usual. That's kind of how we do it around here. So we apologize. But we YouTube live. So anybody that missed anything, just run on over to YouTube. It's up there right now. Everything's there. So go ahead and take a look at it. And please remember to continue to review the 4th annual, because there's a lot of information. I'm doing some cuts on it now. So I'm listening to it as I'm editing with my editor. And I'm hearing a lot of stuff that I missed because I was trying to control different things over here while I was going on. So I missed some of the stuff that John and Sharanda said, and I'm hearing it on the replay. So listen to it, replay it, just kind of listen to it and take some notes, because it really will help you move forward in this space. And you can have a lot of success in the Cdlp space. And it is a little bit different than the regular group space. So getting the information here on that 4th angle will really help you guys out. So appreciate you guys all again. You guys enjoy the rest of your week. Be safe. And we'll see you guys next Monday.
Thank you. Good night, all.
Absolutely.
Good
Everyone.
night, everyone.
Good
Thanks,
night.
Fran.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Happy calling tomorrow. Happy
Let's get
calling.
it
Yes.
done, y'all. Let's get it done.
Thank you.
Wanda.
Thank you.
Wanda called on Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
You said what happened?
And I did better than I did during the week.
Oh, you called on Saturday, Wanda?
Yes,
Oh, good stuff. Yeah, good
Yes.
stuff. Good stuff.
yes.
Nothing like
Some
good
of them
old,
don't
nothing
work
like
and
good
they
old
answer the
split test.
phone.
It's always good to split test every now and then. Every now and then it's good to, you know what, let me call at a different time. Let me call at a different day. It's always good to do that to find out when your prospects are available.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And if their voicemail is full, they usually empty it Friday or Saturday.
Well, look at that tip. And look,
Tip.
there's only 24 of y'all left that got that. Some of them jumped
Yep.
off quick. Y'all just missed that one right there. They're gonna have to get that one on a replay. That's good stuff. I can appreciate that. Absolutely.
Somebody, you gonna stay on? You gonna cut the Zoom off?
Oh yeah. I'm gonna cut it off, and then you want to get on a regular phone?
Bye, y'all.
No, I need to be on Zoom.
Okay, so I'll shut this down and then come right back into use the other one, the 904-290-2960. You got that? You want me to text it to you?
Text it to me.
All right, I'll text it to you real quick because I already have it handy. And then
Okay.
we'll